Good evening. It is my pleasure to present the 2024 Associate of the Year Award. Payne Transportation is proud to sponsor this award. I'm Pauline Weed-Peters, VP of Finance and Admin at Payne Transportation. This award recognizes an individual from the Associated Trades Division who's made important contributions to our industry. From dealerships and parts providers to recruiting, finance, office and building supplies, even restaurants, the members of the Associated Trades Division keep the wheels moving on Manitoba's trucking industry. Rick Geller's career was focused on safety in the trucking industry. He began as a fleet safety manager and held a variety of roles throughout his career. Rick was a leader not only in the insurance world, but in the trucking industry. He was a mentor to many. Generous with his knowledge, his contributions around the table were invaluable to the ATD and Manitoba's trucking industry. While he may no longer be with us, his legacy lives on. His knowledge and expertise have contributed to the certification of hundreds of new safety compliance officers in Manitoba alone.
What can you say about Rick Geller? He was larger than life. Rick and I go back to our very young man days in the late 70s when we both met as Winnipeg policemen. Our careers intersected so many times after that, through the transportation industry, through the insurance industry, and we sort of found ourselves at the end of our career semi-retired, and we always conversed about if we ever found ourselves back in Winnipeg, why don't we start up a business together? The two old guys in the Muppets sitting in the stands wondering if we could start a business together, and then found out that it took off beyond our wildest belief.
In 2000, I moved from Pure Leader in Regina to Yankee Group of Companies, and Rick was in charge of their safety and compliance. So I met him my first day at Yankee Group of Companies in Saskatoon. I was single at the time. Rick saw the kind of lunches I would bring in and felt sad for me, I guess. And he'd have me come over to his house, and his wife Mona would always cook us lunch. I'd come over for lunch, I'd come over for dinner. I'd come over to his house, it would just be him, Mona, and their dog. And I kind of became an adopted son to Rick, is kind of how I felt, and it made me feel good. He had a great sense of humor and a really dry wit, and I miss some of his stories. He was a good storyteller. I
remember when COVID hit, we were doing an online seminar with a company and asking people to improve their fleet behaviors well beyond compliance into governance. And he opened up the workshop. There's 200 people from North America, and first thing he says, you know how you are? And there's that pause. Don't be that way, right? He could get away with delivering those type of things. People really appreciated those quips that he would have, and if anybody in the room knows him, you've probably heard a couple of them.
Rick truly loved his job and what he did, and he loved helping others. And his job gave him the opportunity to reach and touch many people. The next generation of risk managers kind of came through Rick. Guy that works for me now, was trained by Rick 15 years ago. So the people I deal with, they've all been touched by Rick in one of his training and development, and just in his teachings and in the way he shared his knowledge. He just kind of helped guide the next wave.
He is the best transportation strategic thinker for loss prevention that I've ever seen. And his focus was to ensure that companies were provided the opportunity to understand how they can become defendable, insurable, and he wanted to create an environment where, as he would put it, we want to save more than one trucking company at a time. So to develop training programs and opportunities and processes that allows an industry to evolve versus one company at a time.
He was more of a father figure to me than anybody else I had in my life, and he helped shape and kind of guide me a lot. And even when we didn't work together, we stayed in touch, and I would be able to reach out to him at any time with any question I had, with any help I needed, just to get some advice, some direction, some ideas. The best way to describe Rick for me would be he was like a safety net. He was always there. Like if you had problems and you think you're gonna fall, he'd always be there if you won it, he'd catch you, right? And he'd always help me.
The outpouring of recognition when he passed was beyond anything I'd ever seen before. People heartfeltly reached out and provided stories about how he improved their lives, improved their businesses, and things of that nature. And I know Rick mentioned a couple of times he wanted to, in some fashion, leave a legacy in fleet safety. And I can now tell him that he did.
No, I really just really miss him. Like, I don't think I would have been as successful without Rick's help.
I'm honored to present the 2024 Associate of the Year Award to Mona on behalf of Rick.